Oh, okay.
All right, after that interruption, we can go ahead and get started.
Yeah, welcome back.
Welcome back, fools. To Girls Got Spooky.
Yes.
Welcome back, fools.
My name is Amy.
And I'm Olivia.
And you're fools, apparently.
Spooky bitches, and we're a little bit scared to talk about this topic today.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's such a good one. But before we get into it, I wanted to just share a funny article I found in People magazine, which is Loch Ness Monster hunters gathering in Scotland with new gear this weekend to find the fabled creature. Now, mind you, we are recording this ahead of time, so this was probably about a month ago by the time you guys are listening to this, but apparently this is one of like the biggest Loch Ness hunting parties ever. And I was like, that's hilarious.
I know. And why? Like, I wonder what inspired this right now.
I don't know. Who knows? But I love it. I'm here for it.
Same.
Okay, and now on to our actual topic, which is the Crone of the Catskills.
Ooh. So, let's
TLDR, babies. Okay, so I'm going to read a really quick TDLR, and then I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background on the area, and then we're going to metaphorically dive in. Okay, so while trekking off the beaten path in New York's Catskill Mountains, two hikers discovered this strange hand-carved statue in a small cave. 6 rusty nails had been driven into its eyes, and it, like 6 feels like overkill, but okay, do you?
Good start.
Yeah, good start. And a dirty length of cord was wrapped tightly around its neck. Despite their better judgment, the explorers removed the figure. Soon, muddy footprints began to manifest in their home, and the pungent scent of stagnant pond water filled the house. On the 7th day, they saw her crouched in the shadows of the living room, the Crone, a horrifying apparition with an emaciated body and eyes that shined in the darkness. The hikers contacted the Newkirks, who placed the artifact safely in the museum collection. So,
yikes.
Very creepy start. We're going to get into all the dirty details.
Yes.
But figured I would start with a little bit more about the Catskills, or the Catskill Mountains, because they actually have a long history of spooky things. So if you hear noises in the background, I'm not personally haunted. That is my boyfriend moving about the cabin. Did you see my elbow just slip off my armrest there?
I didn't.
That was a haunting, though. Yeah, it was a haunting, most likely. So this is from greatnorthernCatskills.com. It's like a tourist page. They've got a bunch of stuff, places to stay, like tourist guidebook kind of things. But they also did a little compilation of haunted places of the Catskills. So there are only 4 of them, and they're very quick. So I'm just going to read them for you guys just to set the scene. So this first one is in Leeds, which is upstate New York, and it's called Salisbury Manor, and the little like subheader says "Murder Most Foul," which I think is so cute. So it says, historic 1730s farmhouse in Leeds, New York. Salisbury Manor has a rich history and is known for its colonial-era architecture. However, the manor is also known for an event much more sinister, the murder of a young servant named Anna Dorothea Swartz, whose life ended on the manor's grounds in 1755. Records show that young Anna worked for the owner of the manor, William Salisbury, who's a known tyrant who treated his staff terribly. One night, tired of enduring the abuse, Anna tried to escape. Salisbury gave chase and caught her, so he tied her to the back of a horse and dragged her back to the farm, ripping her body to shreds along the way. He was found, like brutal.
Yeah.
Salisbury was found guilty of the murder of Anna, but he bribed the judge to suspend his sentence until he turned 99.
Wow.
Like... creative, and yet what a piece of shit.
Right. Get away with anything.
So Shortly after the trial, the citizens of Leeds claimed to see her ghost sitting on the wall outside of the Salisbury Manor, making this a true haunted house. Others saw a huge ghost horse riding by the manor, now
Whoa.
thought to be haunted, and could hear the galloping hooves of the horse and the screams of Anna.
Wow. Yikes.
So lots of bad energy there.
Mm-hmm.
They note that the manor is privately owned, so do not go stalking on their property.
Yeah. Don't look for the ghost horse.
Exactly. Do not go looking
Spooky.
on their property or you will probably be arrested.
In real life.
Next one.
Not
Yeah,
by a
exactly.
ghost.
Not by, well, maybe both. We don't know.
Yeah.
The second one is the old game farm. So they say no ghosts here, just faded impressions and abandoned buildings left behind when the zoo closed in 2006. It was founded by Roland Lindemann in 1933. It was created to house 28 species of deer. The old Catskill Game Farm became the first privately owned zoo in the US and a renowned Catskills attraction. Visitors walked 3.5 miles of pathways along 100 buildings on 150 acres to observe and often hand feed more than 2,000 animals. Giraffes, pygmy hippos, rhinos, wild horses, kangaroos, and many more called this place home. Basically, it's vacant now and creepy as hell. And there are campsites that are tucked around that area. So people say that it is very spooky feeling at night. And honestly, animals lived there. Animals probably died there. So I'm not going to say with certainty that there are ghost big cats or anything, but there could be. So
Yep, there could be.
watch your six.
Yeah, and anything that's abandoned just becomes scary
Haunted.
right away.
Haunted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Immediately scary.
Yep.
Okay. Point Lookout Inn. Now known as the Captain's Inn Point Lookout, the Point Lookout Inn has a rich history that is much darker than its modern and cheery appearance. It is believed that many years ago, a couple checked into room 12 of Point Lookout and only one person left. It is recorded that the man who checked into the hotel that fateful night murdered the woman he was with in that very room. In the years that followed, many guests noticed strange things happening in room 12, such as flickering lights, foul odors, that's going to be a theme today, and voices. Still wondering about the validity of the tale, a team of paranormal investigators visited room 12, guaranteed it was Zach Bagans, and brought with them two cadaver dogs. They went right to the corner of the haunted hotel room where the murder was thought to have happened and reacted as they would to indicate death. So someone died in there, and that guy probably killed that woman. So, yeah. Classic.
Interesting. This is off topic, but I need to ask you, did you see, I'm blanking on his name, the one who killed Kristen Smart? He was stabbed. Yeah, he was stabbed in prison like a week ago. I think he survived, but there's some jailhouse justice going on there.
I am honestly here for that. That's probably not a PC reaction, but fuck that guy.
I agree.
Like, depriving her family of fucking
peace
of all these years. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're on, have we ever talked about that? I mean, I guess we wouldn't. No, I think we did.
We did, yeah, because we did the episode about Cal Poly. And the reason that I even thought about that is because they had the cadaver dogs at Cal Poly when they
I think about that a lot. A lot. Whenever I think about cadaver dogs, I think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
well, if you haven't heard much about that story, you can just search Kristen Smart, Cal Poly, and it'll come up. But also we had a whole podcast episode about it, so you can sift through. Check it out. Very sad, but it seems like they have closure now, which is good.
Hopefully.
The last one in the Catskills is Murderers Creek in Athens. So August of 1813, a young and popular daughter of a prominent businessman went missing in the town of Athens, located in Greene County, New York. The entire town set out to find missing Sally Hamilton, which I'm like, Hamilton? I don't know if there's relation, maybe. 3 days later, her body was found under a bridge in a creek less than 500 feet away from the place she went missing. This creek is now known as Murderer's Creek, and it has been storied that she was discovered mutilated and with a broken skull. Since the murder, the creek has been thought to be haunted by the spirit of young Sally Hamilton. And that's just a very creepy thought, like on the water, under the bridge. Scary.
Yeah.
Well, probably more like scared ghost girl, but sad.
Very.
So that's the Catskills. So we've got a lot of history there. The U.S. is new as hell, just like a little babe in the eyes of the rest of the world. But this part of the U.S. at least, is as old as it gets. So
yes, true.
Lots of history, lots of murder. And apparently a scary motherfucking witch. So let's go. Okay. This article was written by Greg Newkirk, who, along with his wife and co-museum curator, are now in possession of this doll, statue, whatever we're going to call it. And here our story begins. So this article was written in a publication called weekinweird.com. The title is The Crone of the Catskills. This cursed carving brings visits from a terrifying paranormal entity. And for context, a lot of this story became like, I don't want to say common knowledge, but popularized on Reddit. So Newkirk, I think he was messaged by, we'll get into this in a second, but I'm pretty sure he was messaged by one of the hikers on Reddit. And then there's a ton of content that happened on Reddit as well, which he very nicely summarizes in this article. So, diving in.
Here we go.
Okay, so this is from Greg's perspective. So as the director of a paranormal and occult museum, I can tell you that history is invaluable. Knowing where an item came from, who created it, and what it was used for can help an investigator like myself get to the bottom of a cursed item's strange phenomena. Even if I can't make the anomalous activity stop, by knowing an artifact's background, I can at least begin to understand why it has a haunting attached to it. Unfortunately, in many, if not most cases of supernaturally influenced objects, the trail only leads so far, stopping at estate sales, pawn shops, or post office boxes. In these situations, an investigator is left to sort out the details, hoping that someone with the right information will come along and help the puzzle pieces fall into place. Several months ago, I received an email. Okay, so it was over email. Received an email from a frightened New York man who believed he had come into possession of a cursed object, causing terrifying poltergeist manifestations in his friend's home. The artifact was a crude, hand-carved effigy of a woman with a stained noose hung around its neck and rusty nails hammered into its eyes. 6 of them, because remember, overkill.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you're a witch doing like weird voodoo doll shit, like you're probably going to go for the drama.
Definitely. Yep.
So he and a friend had discovered the figure hidden in a cave while hiking in the Catskill Mountains. And despite his objections, his hiking partner was like, let's bring that home.
Why? No.
So they did. Rule number 1, you spooky hoes. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
Just leave it. Don't touch it. Don't look at it for too long. Just fucking leave it. Just keep hiking. Enjoy your day in the great outdoors.
I would love to know what kind of person looks at a doll or a statue with nails in its eyes and thinks, oh, I'd love to put that on my mantle. Like,
and a noose around its neck.
Yeah.
Like, why are you even, like, pondering that possibility?
And it was in a cave. Like, could it get any worse? Like, why are you touching that?
That's just like my reaction would be like my eyes would fall on it and I'd say nope and I'd turn around.
Yeah.
Walk my little scared run. Hey, look at how funny that is.
It's like our concert goers.
Yeah. Kind of like galloping a little.
Or
okay, if you're listening to this, if you're listening to this and can't see it, like, know that we're making like fingers walk. Why is that so funny to me? Okay, we proceed. As strange. Okay, so they bring the doll home. As strange phenomena began to slowly manifest in the house, the two men became aware that removing the figure was not a good idea.
Mhm.
It had come with an attachment. After the frightening manifestation of an old woman, soaking wet, appeared crouched in the dark shadows of their living room, they knew they needed to seek help.
Yeah.
So, on January 9th, 2016, a man using the screen name Wigged, Wigged, Wigged Hiker their way. THR way. I don't know.
Okay.
Weird.
Yeah.
Wigged.
Wigged.
I am a
Wig,
wigged hiker.
wigged hiker
Anyway,
way.
they their way.
Hiker.
Hiker's way. Anyway, they posted a thread on Reddit titled "Me and a friend found this creepy statue while hiking, and now strange things are going on. Anyone know what this is?" In it, he asks for help with a potential haunting. So for the paranormal subreddit, it was run of the mill, at least at first. The following posts have been edited for grammar and readability, but the information contained is the same. Last weekend, this is a clip from the original post. Last weekend, my friend and I went hiking in the Catskills near Sundown Forest, for what it's worth, and found this really creepy statue while fucking around in some caves. It has nails in its eyes and a noose around its neck. Looks like it might be old. I don't think it's been there very long, but it's weird because this cave was way off the trail. Someone had a fire in there not too long ago. So clearly there was like evidence of someone being there. The statue really wigged me out, but my buddy decided to take it home with him. It really wigged me out. But my buddy decided to take
I am
I'm
so
just going to
wigged
start
out.
saying every I'm going to start saying every ed adjective like that.
Perfect.
Beloved, wigged. It really wigged me out, but my buddy decided to take it home with him, even though I told him not to. Everyone says that there's devil worshippers that come out here to sacrifice animals and do their spells and shit, so I didn't want anything to do with this thing. A couple days later, my friend calls me and tells me that he thinks the statue is haunted because it keeps moving from its spot and he keeps smelling weird stuff. Says he can't sleep at night because a banging noise keeps waking him up. Now, last night, someone knocked on his door, but no one was there when he opened it, and he's super weirded out. He thinks he has a ghost because of the statue. It must just be a coincidence, but I do think he's actually very scared. So before we go set something on fire, I wanted to see if anyone knows what it is. Has anyone ever seen something like this or heard of a statue causing ghosts? So, end clip. Over the next several hours, the post received dozens of responses, each of them offering a different piece of advice. Some believed that the carving had its roots in voodoo, which, of course, with the nails in the eyes.
Yeah.
Others thought it was the work of a satanic cult, and a few even believed that the creepy statue was placed in the woods specifically to scare errant hikers and was apparently doing its job really well. Some posters even offered to purchase the idol, while others offered insults, of course, because it's the internet.
Yep.
That night, the man returned with a frantic, frightening update to his issue with the haunted statue. Okay. My friend showed up here at like 11:30 p.m. This is back to the clip. He's out of his mind scared. Never seen him like this before. I'm going to do my best to remember everything he just told me because it was a lot, but long story short, he's sleeping over because something is in his house. We found the statue on Sunday, and like I said, I told him not to take it because it gave me bad vibes, but he took it anyway. He's been an atheist as long as I've known him, so when he told me that something was going on, I thought he was just fucking with me because he knows I like to watch paranormal shows, and he's always made fun of me for it. It started out as just knocks and banging, but he said that by Wednesday, he started waking up in the middle of the night feeling like someone was watching him. This kept happening throughout the week, and every time he'd wake up, he would smell a really strong scent like pond water, which doesn't smell good. No, he doesn't believe any of this paranormal stuff, so he just ignored it until a few days ago when the statue moved from his desk into his living room. He says that every night since Thursday, it's moved into a different room than where he left it. He thought maybe it was the dog moving it around because it smelled funny, but his dog won't go anywhere near it, which
that's
already
always a sign.
is a sign.
Mm-hmm.
He says that she's actually peed in the house 3 nights in a row, and she's never ever done that. So something's scaring the dog.
Yeah.
Last night, someone knocked on his door at 3 a.m, but when he went to open it, there was no one there. His motion lights weren't on and there weren't any cars in his driveway. He said that he opened up the door to look outside, and that's when he knew he made a big mistake. Like, he just felt like he shouldn't have opened his door. And that's why I made this post in the first place. At that point, I didn't have any reason not to believe him because it had gone way beyond a joke, and he actually sounded really, really fucking scared on the phone. He kept telling me that he was going to burn the statue because he knows that something followed him home. Anyway, he stayed up all night and then decided to go to the movies to take his mind off it. When he got home, he said it felt like everything was fine, and he decided to finally go to bed. This is where it gets super fucked up, because he says that when he woke up, which wasn't until like 10 p.m. Oh, because he went to bed during the day. So he woke up at 10 p.m. from like a very early nap, or I guess a late nap. And it was because his dog was barking like crazy. He said the pond water smell was stronger than ever. And when he went out into his hallway, he saw all of these muddy footprints everywhere. Not like shoe prints, barefoot. All of the doors and windows were locked. After someone knocked on his door, he freaked out and made sure everything was locked up. So there's no way someone could have gotten inside without signs of breaking and entering.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sitting in the living room was the statue, which had moved yet again. And he says that when he started to go near it, he heard someone breathing. And then in quotes, he said, like his grandpa with the tracheotomy. So like heavy, wheezy breathing. Yeah. He pieced the fuck out, and now he and his dog are sleeping in my guest room tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen him this scared, and he even started crying. I have no fucking idea what to do. I believe him because he has no reason to lie about this, because it's gone way too far to be a joke now. And I know that everyone says not to burn it or whatever. So what the fuck do we do? Because that was one of the main things that people, when they were like, we're going to burn it unless anyone knows what's up. And they were like, don't burn it.
Yeah.
Because that can have like huge repercussions. He wants me to go to his house to get the statue tomorrow, but I'm too freaked out to take it back to where we found it because I don't want to see whoever put it there.
Yeah.
So, let me see. Okay. I've got one more little section and then I'm passing it to you. So, this is where the Crone makes its way to the museum. Just a few months prior to this frightening Reddit post, Dana and I, so Dana Newkirk and the husband, had the good fortune to assist the Finding Bigfoot team as paranormal experts in their search for supernatural Sasquatch sightings. But I never anticipated that the 2-week adventure in the California mountains would result in the acquisition of a new haunted object. At the tail end of the season's Finding Bigfoot filming schedule, one of the production assistants, Chris Carter, was taking a break in the production van, scrolling through Reddit, when he stumbled onto the hiker's thread. Having spent a lot of time on the road with Dana and I, hearing tales of our haunted objects during the Supernatural episode shoot, he logged in and commented that the hiker should get in touch with us, passing along our contact information. That's like such a right place, right time kind of thing.
Yeah, that's really lucky for these hikers.
Yeah. And later that night, an email arrived in my inbox. It was the hiker, whose name was Danny, and he was requesting my help. He pointed me towards his Reddit post for a quick backstory, and it didn't take me long to suggest that he not only return the statue to the place he'd found it, but to apologize to whoever or whatever they'd stolen from. I asked him a few questions about the location they'd discovered the figure and warned him against burning, throwing away, or otherwise destroying the object, which could have potentially made things even worse for the two. I think, and just a quick tangent on that, I think what I've read on that, and like jump in this if you think I'm wrong, I think it's that if you like destroy it while it's already with you, that it like latches onto you essentially, and then you can never get rid of it.
Yeah, I think I read the same thing, that it would find something else to attach to, whether it is you yourself or an object that's available.
Close. Yeah. Okay. So I ended my correspondence by telling Danny that if he was truly frightened, we could handle, store, and study the object safely. 2 days later, I received another email. Here it is. Thanks for the advice. Today we went back to my friend's house to get the statue and return it. When we got there, I saw the muddy footprints he was talking about, and the whole place smelled like a dog that had just rolled around in the dirt. His dog wouldn't even come in the house. He went to show me where the statue was when he left last night, but it was gone. When we found it, it was in his hallway, and there was a big crack in the wall, like it had been thrown there. He swears that he never touched he swears that he never touched the thing and left it in his living room. We did what you said and explained that we were sorry about taking it and that we wanted to give it back to the cave and asked it what we should do. I don't know if it was the feeling you were talking about, but we both just felt like we should never go back to that cave again. He said he felt like we needed to send it to you. When we were standing in the hallway talking to this thing, his dog started barking like crazy outside. And when we went to see what was going on, we both thought we saw a woman standing in the dark corner of his living room. She was totally naked, really old, and dripping water, and her eyes sort of glowed in the dark. She was hunched over near his shelves, and we both freaked the fuck out and ran outside. And this was in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So this is like, we went back, like, no, they went in the middle of the day. Mm-hmm. Whoever it was wasn't there when we went back in. We grabbed the statue and apologized again, wrapped it in a pillowcase, and put it in a box. He's going to send it to you. To answer your questions, because I'm sure Greg had questions when he emailed him back, I didn't see any jewelry or pictures or anything by the statue, but there were a lot of leaves covering everything. There was some broken glass and a cup near the fire. My friend says he thinks there might have been some hair on it, but he brushed it off without thinking about it. Hair on it.
Yeah. That's even spookier.
That's
just
so much
another
scarier.
layer to the story.
Yeah. We don't remember any weird symbols or anything in the cave. There were a lot of twigs piled around the foot of the statue, but that's it. That's creepy too. That's some Blair Witch shit.
Yep.
Everyone has always talked about how people go into those parts of the woods to worship the devil and do ceremonies and stuff, even when my parents were kids. The woods not far from where we were are even called, and then it says omitted because of this. So it's got to have some like whatever demon worship name that they don't want to share, so people don't all go there. Right. I fucking told him to leave the statue there because it was probably some weird ceremony thing, but he never believed in ghosts or the devil or anything. Right now, it's sitting in the trunk of his car at his house. Give me your address and we'll mail it to you tomorrow. If I knew it was going to be this bad, I would never have let him take it out of that cave. Thanks for not calling us fucking idiots and telling us how stupid we are like the rest of the thread. This is the whole reason I used to throw away to begin with.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because he used a, burner account.
Wicked hiker.
Yeah, wicked hiker.
Dumb.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Scary.
And over to you.
Okay. So, yeah, now the statue has made it to the museum. So, this section of the article is called A Terrifying Paranormal Entity, The Evidence. So, Dana Matthews, his wife, the writer's wife, carried the box with the crone into the Weird headquarters office. So I think that their company together is called Week in Weird or something.
It's
whatever
called,
this article is written on.
I wrote it down somewhere. Planet Weird, I think. Yeah, Planet Weird is Planet their Weird. Business.
Okay. So yeah, Weird headquarters, Weird HQ office.
I want to work there.
I know, same. I wonder if they're hiring. I'll look into it.
Hopefully. Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah. So place the package on my desk. We carefully cut the package open to reveal a hard lump wrapped in a stained pillowcase. As we slowly peeled back the cloth, rusty nails hammered into wooden eyes became visible, followed by the noose that's tightened around the statue's neck. Whatever purpose this piece was created for, it was not nice. The figure looks menacing, but there were a few things that were a bit confusing about the piece. The most obvious detail was that while the carving itself looked weathered and aged, as did the nails, the rope wrapped around its neck couldn't have been more than a year old. So someone's playing around with this thing.
Yeah.
The carving also, like we said earlier, had obviously been placed in the cave somewhat recently with the new addition of the noose, given the fire and the other evidence that the hikers found. So, as we do with all new items that arrive at the museum, we snapped a series of preliminary photos capturing the artifact just as it was when it arrived, jotted down some notes, and took a few measurements. Then we locked the office and left to run errands. When you've been sent countless haunted objects through the years, it's hard to shake the preconceived notion that the creepy porcelain clowns, weird paintings, and African idols will never live up to their alleged reputations. They rarely do. So for us, the arrival of the Crone was just another day at the office. So maybe I don't want to work there after all.
No, I know.
I don't want to be in the
Thinking
office with
that.
haunted
No.
objects.
Ugh, I have like really hard goosebumps right
I
now.
know. It's
Ugh.
scary. So later that evening, while sitting in the living room watching a movie, Dana and I were startled by a commotion in the office. Oh, that's even worse. So the office is in
Yeah,
their
in
house.
their house.
Okay,
Yeah, I
great.
know.
Good. Okay. Thinking
Good,
it
good.
was thinking it was our two cats, I volunteered to break up the fight, only to realize upon walking into the office that the door had been closed the whole time. Nothing seemed out of place, and the cats were nowhere to be found. In fact, our feline familiars were in another room entirely, cowering beneath the bed, afraid to leave.
Not a good
Spooky.
sign.
No. I walked back into the office in an attempt to look for the source of the noises, but everything seemed in order until I almost stepped on Jesus. He's such a good writer.
I
So,
know.
lying on the floor was a plastic figurine of Jesus Christ, normally found nailed to a crucifix. As I turned him over in my hands, I realized that he was missing an arm. On the complete opposite side of the room, swinging silently on a cross hung in the corner, was Jesus' missing appendage. Something had not only managed to pull Christ from the crucifix without removing it from the wall, it had thrown the figure across the room. I've still never been able to
So
find the nails from Jesus' hands and feet.
ew.
And sitting directly below the now desecrated cross was the crone. So, um, yeah. Whether or not the crone was to blame for this, Dana and I wasted no time setting up 24-hour surveillance on the object. We placed a motion-activated trail camera in the corner of the office, facing directly in the direction that the desecrated crucifix hung, covering a selection of the most active artifacts in our collection. If something was causing anomalous movement, we were going to capture it. For nearly 2 months, the motion-activated camera sat in the room, but when we checked the SD card each morning, there was no evidence of paranormal activity. Sure, there were occasional bumps in the night, but when you store hundreds of haunted, cursed, and supernaturally influenced objects in your home, you come to expect it. Still, there was nothing to point toward the crone being to blame for any of it. Then, on March 2nd, between the hours of 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., of course, the camera triggered 3 times, and there's a video of this.
So scary,
Yeah.
dude. We'll link the
um,
video in our probably in our YouTube
yeah,
description. So if you're looking for
yeah,
it, that's where you can find it.
yes, definitely. Very creepy. Okay, initial analysis showed a few strange anomalies floating in and out of frame, one of which even appeared to have its own light source. But it wasn't until we stitched the frames together that we discovered something really eerie. The crone had moved, ever so slightly, on its own. And things only got stranger from there. Several weeks later, with no further anomalous activity captured on the camera, Dana called me into the living room to ask me why I'd stood on the furniture after a shower, pointing to the wet
Ew.
footprints that appeared to stand on the back of our couch. Only I'd not taken a shower for hours. It's funny that that's her
Ugh.
first thought. Why did you
Yeah, she's like,
stand after a shower on the back of the
yeah,
couch? Um,
it's so
but
weird.
there's a picture of the footprints too.
Yeah,
So,
not a good vibe. She's putting her hand
no.
very near to them too. I would not want to touch
Hmm.
that. I would burn the
No.
couch.
Yeah, same. And yeah, so after that, for days, the earthy scent of pond water lingered in the house, with an intense feeling of dread and paranoia following it. There was an undeniable sense that something was with us, just waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. One evening, after enduring the overbearing weight of a hidden presence and stink of algae for 2 weeks, we'd had enough. We were in the middle of a new episode of Paranormal Lockdown, which maybe is one of their shows or podcasts, I'm not
Hmm.
sure. when the smell of pond water became so great we couldn't stand it. Haunted objects, like misbehaving children, tend to respond and retaliate to the attention given to them during tantrums, but our usual routine of ignoring the bad behavior wasn't working. We were
That's
past due.
interesting.
Yeah, it is. I can't remember if it's in this article or somewhere else among Reddit threads that he wrote about how if you go into a potential paranormal situation wanting to be scared and like worried that there's going to be something aggressive, you're probably going to
Yeah.
get that. Where if
Yeah.
you go in with different intentions,
Because it's
they
all
might
energy,
match.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all
it'll
energy.
match. Yeah, interesting. Um, so they were misbehaving. We were past due for a sit down discussion with the crone. um, so I stormed into the office, grabbed the carving, and marched back into the living room, slamming it down on the coffee table. I sat back down on the couch and began addressing the entity directly, something that should never be done lightly. I explained that we were happy to give the crone a home, but as this was our house, we had rules. It's a speech I've given to most of the objects in the museum at one time or another, and one that tends to work. If we if we'd left you with the hikers, I said, you would have found your way into a fire pit or a garbage can. If you found your way to a priest, you'd be bound and buried, or worse, locked on a dusty shelf for years. We're happy for you to live here, but only if you respect the situation. If you've got unfinished business, we'll help you put it to bed, but if you don't treat us respectfully, you're going in a box. In the box is a phrase we've reserved for artifacts that don't play nice, have nasty side effects, or are just plain malevolent. These objects, unlike the rest in the collection, have their own dedicated lock boxes, solitary confinement, if you will. Usually the threat of a lockup is enough to pacify a situation, but not this time. So, as soon as I uttered those magic words, Dana sprang up from the couch, drawing my attention to the sound of rushing water from the other side of the house. We'd dealt with a broken pipe in the recent past, and the sound of water spilling onto our laundry room floor was a panic-inducing noise. We rushed toward the sound, only for it to cease as we entered the hall. There was no water, but behind us, back in the living room, we could hear the dull thud of something hitting the floor. The crone had managed to roll off the coffee table and under our television stand.
Ew, it's like he like gave the speech, went into the other room,
Mm-hmm.
came back, and she was moved. I
Yeah,
hate that.
I know. She is stubborn. She
Yeah,
can't be
seriously.
tamed. Yeah. So as I knelt down and reached under the stand to grab the carving, Dana yelled out and rushed to my side. When I turned to look at her, she was propping the television up with both hands. The screen had nearly fallen directly onto my head. As we shared a
That's
brief,
scary.
I know, very scary. As we shared a brief look of fear and agreement, three loud knocks reverberated from the living room wall, rattling the picture frames and flickering the bulb from the single lamp providing our room with light. Which, three knocks at the hiker's door as well.
Yeah.
So, creepy. In the
Yeah.
box it is, I muttered. So, that evening, the crone became one of the few objects not stored in an open air display when not on tour. We prepared a special box for the statue, wrapped it back in the pillowcase it had arrived in, and clicked a padlock shut. The strange scents and terrible feelings all but disappeared, but the shadowy presence never quite left. And yeah, so I think we mentioned this already that they have a traveling museum.
Mhm.
Um, so the crone and their other haunted objects are on display in their traveling museum. Um, and let's see, I think we could just probably summarize
Yeah,
this part.
for
Um,
sure.
let's see, there was
The
one
main
part
thing I
I
think
know.
is like people's like they have like a look but don't touch policy for
Right.
everything for obvious reasons, but like
Hmm.
people even just looking at it went home and had weird experiences.
Right. Yeah.
Well, because it seems almost like because the hiker, not Danny, but the other guy who had it at the house, like, she's bothersome, but she's not in full form until you open the door and let her
Mm-hmm.
in.
Right.
And then she's there
Yeah.
until the
Yeah.
statue is moved. So I almost wonder if, like, she just, like, throws out a little bit of energy to everyone, hoping that they
Right.
let her in.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's true. That's very scary. And I know because
Yeah.
they do have some items from reading another article of theirs, they have some that you can touch. And
Oh,
those
interesting.
also deeply affect people. But the fact that this
Mhm.
one, like, they don't let anyone touch her and people
Yeah.
are still having effects from it is insane and
Well, and
disturbing.
if that TV had fallen on his head, he could have died.
Right. Yeah.
Like, maybe
It's,
unlikely. He probably would have been, like, more very hurt than dead, but I mean, it could have killed him. And
yeah.
that's a very, like, to have control over, like, like, our senses, like smelling things, the sound
Hmm.
of water running, water actually appearing, like, ugh,
Right. Yeah.
gross.
That is horrifying. Um, and then the last part of this article, let me see, because I know that there was somewhere in here that they think they had found which demon it might be. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, I think it's at the
Oh, yeah, here. They think yet another psychic isn't sure why the crone was carved, only that the Babylonian spirit Marduk or Marduk, a powerful entity with 50 names, is attached to it. So she believes that that is the exact entity that's causing all of this. And interesting to note is that Marduk is often associated with water. So that makes
interesting.
good sense.
Yeah. There was something else too, like, and there, like, a lot of the psychics who they spoke to independent of one another, of course, all kind of, like, said some different things. So, like, one medium was saying that the crone is an it, not a she,
Mm,
and it was used, this vessel, the statue, and the cave, from her interpretation, was used several times over the course of a lot of years, and the purpose wasn't always the same, but the carving and the entity attached was,
mm-hmm.
which would explain, like, the mismatched age of the carving, the nails, the rope. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, but she mentioned that whatever was contained within it knew she could see it,
Mm-hmm.
and the entity was not happy that she was explaining all of this, I guess.
Right.
So, very, very weird. Um, Very, very weird. Yeah, Marduk. Ugh.
Yeah,
Entity with 50 names. Like,
I know.
gross.
Yeah, must be an
Gross.
ancient entity. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
Babylon. Yeah, that would make
Babylonian. Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
I don't know if it's still because this was 2016, but
Hmm.
they allow people to look at a live feed of the crone.
Yeah. It
I don't know if
looks
it's still
like,
on.
I think it might be. Hold on, let me open this. Because I was looking before for it and then I got sidetracked. Um, yeah, it's not anymore.
Okay.
Um, but the other thing that's weird is they lost contact with Danny,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because, I mean, he used a burner account, so he had no way of, like, getting in touch with him.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he has his email address, but he's reached out a bunch of times and has never heard back. I mean, my guess is Danny's just like, I don't want anything to do
Yeah.
with this.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
but yeah. Oh, this is interesting. So, um, they did when they had the live feed, it was, I think, for a few weeks or something. Um, there were, like, hundreds of viewers. There were electromagnetic fluctuations, light anomalies, feelings of general unease, which, that last one, I feel like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But the
Mm-hmm.
fact that these things were reported by observers, so, like, light anomalies in their space while watching it.
Oh. Right.
online. So very weird. But he said the most frightening reports came from viewers who experienced strange activity manifesting as they logged into the video feed. Power outages, electronic equipment failures, burning eyes. Like that seemed to be those were common themes. And
Yeah.
then that familiar pond-like scent. And in one case, a visit from the crone herself.
That
The
poor
crone
person.
came to someone's, I know.
Oh.
And then in the final days of the carving surveillance, we asked the viewers for experiment ideas and landed on using a voodoo coffin nail, holy water, and a crucifix as trigger objects to try and get her to do something or it.
Mm-hmm.
And on its last night under 24/7 watch, the crone appeared to flick the nail away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So creepy.
Yeah.
So
Oh God. Yeah, it does look,
anyway,
because I'm looking at it right now. It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
a little video. It's like, yeah, she just
yeah,
casually pushes it away.
yeah.
That's
Very
interesting.
weird. Yeah. And then like they include in this article as well, if anyone's interested, like more stories of people writing in about
Mm-hmm.
like weird things that happened. But one of the things was this woman dreamed that night that she woke up at like 4:40 in the morning, and there was like banging and like the two dogs were freaking out and like just not a good vibe. And she said the worst part of this is prior to waking up I was dreaming that a woman was whispering in my ear that Greg has swallowed the missing crucifix nails, the ones he couldn't
Mm-hmm.
find from the Jesus statue,
Right.
that she dropped them in his mouth while he was sleeping. And this is why I wrote you guys. I'm taking everything with a grain of salt, as I know you will, but just wanted to share, like, just weird. And he says that as soon as he read the message, he was like, oh, fuck. Because just days after the crone arrived and started, dropping televisions and stuff, I came down with severe stabbing stomach pains,
Oh
which
my
last
God.
about a week. The
Mm.
pain was bad enough to make me consider a hospital visit, but I never once considered connecting them to the Crohn's arrival until now. So
Oh God.
super weird.
Yeah,
Super fucking weird
she's a
and
scary
scary.
one.
She's a real
Mm-hmm.
scary one.
Or it's a scary
Um,
one, I
yeah,
guess.
it.
Yeah.
Marduk. Maybe we have to do some additional research on Marduk because
We
that's a
might.
scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know even involved in that dream a little bit, the
Yeah.
Newkirks have a another object that they
Oh yeah.
call the
The
Idol of
idol.
Nightmares. And I guess this person had been looking at both of their live feeds. And if
Yeah.
that one gives her the nightmare and then the crone, like they're working together, like I feel like we
Yeah.
need to look into this more deeply.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I'm here for it. The one other thing I wanted to say is Planet Weird. So Dana and Greg's company, um, just this year launched a show called The Unbinding, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
all about, it's like 5 years worth of documentation around the investigation, years of research and experiments, which brought them back into the Catskills to conduct a ritual that apparently shit happened. So
Okay.
I'm dying to watch it. It came out in
Mm-hmm.
June of this year, and it's called The Unbinding. So
Wow.
crazy,
Yeah,
crazy, crazy, crazy. I really want
very.
to read it. It's so spooky. I have full body goosebumps.
Yes, same. That's going to be a scary documentary.
Yeah,
Worth the
it's
watch.
really scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oof.
but yeah, I think that's everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna cover more witchy shit next week,
Yeah.
including the Idol of Nightmares. So buckle up, babies. Um,
Yeah.
and if you see a naked, wet old woman in your house,
Mm-hmm.
call social services probably, but also like email us about it.
Yeah, both in that
But
order, I think is
in that
good.
order, please.
Call for
Yeah.
help and then let us know.
Yeah, call for help, then let us know. Um, Other than that, you can follow us basically on all social at Girls Gone Spooky. You also can email us at girlsgonespooky@gmail.com. Send us your spooky stories and any Crone experiences you have.
Oh, God. I hope someone has it. Well, no. I don't
Don't
hope
say
someone
it.
has a Crone experience, but I
Don't
would
say it,
love
because
to hear it.
I think it would be me if it ends up being someone. It's not. You're not invited here.
No. No, no, no,
No.
no.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thank you all so much for listening. Stay
Yeah.
spooky, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.